Most people think seeing the world differently is just about being creative or quirky. In reality, it is often a matter of how your brain is physically wired. 1. Hyper-associative thinking. Your brain does not store information in isolated boxes like most people do. Instead, it builds a vast web where every new fact triggers multiple memories. Cognitive psychology calls this divergent thinking. This means your mind naturally explores many possible solutions at the same time. For instance, you might hear a specific song on the radio while driving to work. Instantly, you see a deep connection between the lyrics and a problem at the office. While others just hear a melody, you are mapping out a complex strategy. This allows you to find creative solutions that others completely miss. However, you often struggle to explain your logic to those around you. It is frustrating when your mind jumps 10 steps ahead in a single second. You often feel like you have to slow down just so others can keep up. If you recognize this, you aren't just overthinking, you are simply seeing a much more complex picture than everyone else. But seeing connection is only the beginning of how a different mind operates. Do you ever feel like the world is simply turned up too loud? 2. You have low sensory filtering. Most people possess a mental gatekeeper that automatically mutes background noise. Cognitive psychology refers to this specific mechanism as latent inhibition. It is the natural ability to ignore stimuli that are familiar or irrelevant. Most brains categorize background noise so they can focus on the foreground. This allows others to ignore the hum of an air conditioner effortlessly. For you, that mental gate stays wide open. It remains accessible to every input almost all the time. Your brain treats every flickering light as a fresh and important signal. Even the faint hum of a refrigerator can feel like an urgent message. Your mind struggles to distinguish between what is vital and what is background. Imagine trying to have a deep conversation in a busy urban park. While your friend speaks, you are tracking the rhythm of a distant lawnmower. You are hyper-aware of the wind on your face. You cannot stop noticing the itchy tag on your shirt. Every car passing by is another data point your mind analyzes. You cannot simply turn off the incoming stream of sights and sounds. This high level of absorption allows you to find beauty in tiny details. You notice subtle warning signs in the room that others miss completely. However, processing this constant flood of information has a heavy metabolic cost. Your nervous system runs at full capacity. It is highly active from the moment you wake up. This leads to sudden bouts of exhaustion that leave you feeling hollow. You probably find yourself craving dark, silent rooms to let your brain reset. You are not being difficult when you need to pull away from crowds. You just need to reduce the massive amount of data you are processing. If you feel overwhelmed by bright lights, you are just experiencing more reality. Seeing the world in high definition is a gift that requires intentional recovery. You have to be your own gatekeeper since your brain won't do it. This means learning when to step back and protect your energy reserves. This raw sensory intake is just one way your mind works differently. It changes not just what you see, but how you feel about everything. Sometimes, having a sharp mind means your internal world feels heavier than those around you. 3. You possess high emotional granularity. Cognitive psychology calls this trait emotional differentiation. It fundamentally changes how you process every single interaction in your day. Most people only experience a few basic emotional colors. They might just feel simple versions of happy, sad, or angry. However, you perceive a vastly complex spectrum of feelings at any given time. It is like having a high-definition screen for your moods. Others might only see their emotions in a low resolution. Think about a time you watched a beautiful sunset. A typical observer might just feel a generic sense of peace. But you might feel a sharp nostalgia mixed with a quiet anxiety. You aren't just feeling an emotion, you are feeling the specific shade. This level of precision is actually a massive asset for your mental health. Because you can name exactly what you feel, you can solve internal problems, you address the root cause with surgical accuracy. Yet this depth often creates a persistent sense of isolation from the group. It is hard to explain yourself to someone who only sees primary colors. You might share a nuanced feeling and have it dismissed as overthinking. You may have spent years wondering why you can't enjoy things simply. This complexity isn't a flaw in your personality. It is not a sign that you are broken or overly sensitive. It is a higher level of awareness that captures the richness of life. You are simply tuned into a more detailed frequency than most people. While your emotions are deep, your way of questioning the world is equally intense. This unique perspective goes beyond just noticing small details. It starts by challenging the very status quo around you. 4. Questioning the default. Most people follow social rules without ever wondering why they exist. However, your brain might lack the instinct to accept things blindly. Psychology suggests your need for logic outweighs the drive to fit in. You don't see a method as proven just because it is old. Instead, you see a series of steps that either work or fail. You are constantly looking for the logic behind the social script. This means you analyze the reason for every procedure you encounter. Think about being told to follow a policy that clearly wastes time. While others put their heads down, you feel a sense of confusion. For you, it is physically uncomfortable to ignore a glaring inefficiency. You might ask questions that others find annoying or even threatening. They find comfort in order, while you find comfort in truth. This trait makes you an innovator who can fix broken systems, yet it also creates friction with those who love tradition. You are spotting cracks in a foundation everyone else just walks on. You are often labeled as difficult for simply wanting things to work. Have you been told you're overthinking a rule that was clearly useless? Your struggle isn't with authority, but with the lack of logic. Seeing these flaws is a gift for long-term progress. It can make your daily life feel like a constant battle. This desire for clarity shapes how you handle deep uncertainty. It prepares you to navigate a world that is often chaotic. You might have noticed how quickly others rush to pick a side during a heated argument. 5. You have a high tolerance for ambiguity. Psychology defines this as being comfortable when the facts are still unclear. Most people feel physical discomfort when they do not have all the answers. This creates a strong cognitive pressure to reach closure as fast as possible. Your brain works differently by letting a problem sit unsolved without triggering a panic response. Imagine being in the middle of a chaotic project at your workplace. Your colleagues are likely demanding immediate answers, even if those answers are wrong. While they react out of fear, you prefer to wait and gather more data to be sure. The real-world result is that you rarely fall for easy answers or misinformation. You can see through simple slogans that fail to capture the whole truth. However, this unique trait comes with a social cost you have probably felt. Others often mistake your careful deliberation for being indecisive or even weak. They do not realize that your silence is actually a form of deep mental processing. Do you find yourself holding back until you have heard every possible side? If so, you are likely navigating the world with a much more accurate map than most. This patience allows you to spot risks and opportunities that impulsive people miss entirely. But seeing clearly isn't just about waiting for the right data to arrive. It is also about how you handle the complex systems of the world around you. This leads us to how you connect these hidden patterns to the people you meet. Most people react to a person's behavior based on how it makes them feel. 6. You practice system-based empathy. Psychology shows that you look past immediate actions to see the hidden pressures behind them. You instinctively analyze the life circumstances that cause someone to act this way. Imagine a time when a complete stranger was incredibly rude to you at a store. You don't get angry back because you are busy imagining their stressful morning. You wonder if they are grieving or perhaps overwhelmed by a difficult upbringing. This isn't just being nice. It is a structural way of viewing human behavior. The positive result is that you are often the most objective person in the room. You rarely take things personally because you see others as part of a larger system. However, this deep understanding carries a hidden risk for your personal well-being. You might stay in toxic relationships much longer than you should. Since you understand why they are hurting you, you excuse the harm they cause. You find yourself defending people who haven't actually treated you well. Your ability to see the big picture is both a gift and a heavy burden. Learning to balance this empathy with your own boundaries is your greatest challenge. While you are busy understanding everyone else, you might struggle to look inward. This leads to how you define your worth and where that validation comes from. Many people spend their entire lives chasing a finish line defined by someone else. 7. Internalized validation. Psychology calls this having an internal locus of control. This means your sense of success is tied to your own standards rather than social status. You don't wait for a crowd to tell you that your work has value. You might feel deeply proud of a quiet personal achievement that no one ever sees. A public award might even leave you feeling indifferent if you didn't truly earn it. This creates a powerful immunity to peer pressure and passing trends. You gain the freedom to live authentically regardless of what society expects. Ask yourself if you do things for the applause or for an internal click of satisfaction. Living by your own compass is often lonely, but it is never false. When you stop looking outward for permission, the world starts to look very different. Ultimately, seeing the world differently isn't a burden you need to fix. It is a rare and necessary tool to be embraced. Remember that your unique perspective is exactly what the world needs to see itself clearly.